action!
Remember the old PS1 and PS2 days, when instead of cutscenes they'd lazily throw in low-resolution scenes from the movie to convey the narrative? I feel as though I'm the only one, but I actually find these fascinating. Often these clips were taken from earlier and sometimes alternate versions of the movies.
Farewell, my friend.
Due to licensing issues and expense, they were often also dubbed over by impersonators.
So easy on him. Children will be children. Wow!
Movie clips have often been maligned for having been lazy rewards for progressing in the game, and I won't lie, they basically are.
It's beautiful.
I mean, you could argue that being rewarded with a low-res dubbed-over movie clip with low frame rate is a worthy prize, considering these games often showcased scenes from movies that were, at the time, new in cinemas.
That's good.
But for slow little me and my humble PlayStation, these weren't all that special a reward, especially considering I was often several years behind everyone else. In fact, I have to say, this is humorously still the case. I tend to discover games I love many years after their initial release, long after the hype has died down. Yeah, I'm probably what you'd call a late bloomer. Some things never change.
I mean, case in point, I'm only talking about this now, and most of these games were over 2 decades old. You might say I'm a little bit late to the party.
Dubbing for these clips is always very hit and miss. The Road to El Dorado game is one of the weirdest cases of this.
Whoa, now before you comment, let me assure you I'm well aware this isn't Disney, but this is just for some context, okay? Don't at me.
The clips are edited in such a way that the characters never speak actual words, just occasional grunts and screams. Initially I assumed it must be an edited foreign dub, but I certainly couldn't tell you what language.
Yeah, still no idea what the hell that's about.
Likewise, Disney Pixar's Toy Story 2 replaces some of the voice actors.
What are we gonna do, Buzz?
Use your head.
But I don't wanna use my head!
Rex is voiced by Earl Bowen, as he was in the game itself.
But the sign says it's closed!
And according to the game credits, Woody was voiced by Jim Hanks, Tom Hanks' brother.
Ride like the wind, Bullseye!
Since Woody does not speak in the game, I can only imagine this refers to the movie clips, but many of these sound the same as the movie to me, and I normally find Jim Hanks much easier to identify.
Alright then, time for us to head back.
Granted, the sound quality of these clips is not the best.
Right over there, guys!
One thing is certain though, this particular clip definitely contains a different vocal recording.
Jesse, let go of the plane! Jesse, let go of the plane!
For some reason, the little girl at the airport was also redubbed.
Ooh, a puppy!
Bark, 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 bark!
Ooh, a puppy!
Bark, 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 bark! Bark, 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 bark!
Though it's possible this was a temp voice before the voice for the movie was finalized. There are also some music cues and sound effects that are very different to the movie.
Bullseye?
When the lamppost falls after the toys cross the road, the sound is very different.
Compare this with this. And there's actually a really interesting reason for this. Well, I mean, I think it's interesting.
A deleted scene from Toy Story 2 shows that the lamppost was originally going to be a telegraph pole. Despite the visuals being changed by the game's release, it looks as though the sound effects had yet to be altered. Another thing I find intriguing is this clip, in which Buzz gives a pep talk to the toys.
We will not rest until he's safe in Auntie's room!
International versions of the movie see the planet Earth spinning behind Buzz during his speech, but the original US version actually sees the American flag appear instead, and this is the version we see in the game.
We will not rest until he's safe in Auntie's room!
One last thing I find interesting is that in the climactic scene in which Woody and Jessie jump from the plane, Woody's pull string activates his voice box. While in the movie, this is drowned out by the overwhelming noise of the plane.
And obviously this is much more realistic. You think you'd hear Woody's voice box over that noise? That's just plain silly. I'm sorry.
Disney's The Lion King, Simba's Mighty Adventure, is one of the most noticeable cases of redubs in my opinion.
Where did you come from?
Oh, gee, this is cool. It's great to see you.
The voices themselves are somewhat similar, but you can hear the difference.
Ah, my friend.
For example, as the voice of Scar, Jeremy Irons is replaced with Jim Cummings, and Simba is voiced by Cam Clarke.
How can I accept him?
Who was the singing voice stand-in for Matthew Broderick in The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. You can tell it's an impersonation, but he's not a bad replacement. Clearly I'm not the only one to think so, as Clark later returned to voice Simba in Kingdom Hearts 2.
Sora? Donald? Goofy!
But the most interesting redub to me is that of Zazu.
Impeccable timing, Your Majesty.
We all know that in the first movie, he's voiced by the inimitable Rowan Atkinson.
I say inimitable, but obviously they had to get somebody to imitate him for the sequel.
That someone was Edward Hibbert, who also provided the voice of Zazu for a handful of other entries in the Lion King franchise.
Don't worry, Simba. She'll be fine.
But neither Atkinson nor Hibbert were available for the game, so Zazu here is voiced by Jim Piddock.
Don't worry, Simba. She'll be fine.
I just find it kind of funny that this guy's doing an impersonation of an impersonator.
Disney's Tarzan also contains some redubs.
You know, I've been thinking lately that maybe Tarzan could be some subspecies of elephant. You know, I've been thinking lately that maybe Tarzan could be some subspecies of elephant.
They are very similar sounding, but once again, the intonation gives it away.
These mountains are very dangerous. Stick with me.
Sometimes, however, despite having cover voices for the characters in the game, some big-name movie stars permit the use of their voice in the clips. For example, in the Emperor's New Groove game, David Spade has been redubbed as Cusco.
My face! My beautiful, beautiful face!
While John Goodman's original recording remains intact.
Why would I kidnap a llama?
The same goes for Atlantis: The Lost Empire. As in the game itself, James Arnold Taylor sits in for Michael J. Fox as Milo.
Yeah, I really wish I had a better idea than this!
And Earl Bowen, once again, replaces James Garner as Rourke.
Looks like somebody's working overtime.
While most other character voices remain intact.
Keep your sentences short and to the point, are we clear?
All I can garner from this is that it must have had something to do with the actor's contracts.
There are some occasions, though, when the replacement voice actor sounds nothing like the original.
So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, Flyboy? Huh? So, being a ladybug automatically makes me a girl. Is that it, Flyboy? Huh?
Finding Nemo is an interesting case.
Come on, let's see where this goes.
It's kind of funny to me that Marlon and Dory have replacement voiceovers in the game, and yet the original vocals of Albert Brooks and Ellen DeGeneres remain intact for the movie clips.
Nemo. Name's Bruce.
However, Jess Harnell replaces Barry Humphries as Bruce the Shark in the movie clips, and he sounds nothing like him.
Name's Bruce.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not convinced you're actually Bruce.
Why trust a shark, right?
You imposter.
Disney's Hercules utilizes mostly full-screen video clips, with frankly horrible sound quality.
Thanks for everything, Herc. It's been a real slice.
Bizarrely though, there's also a trailer featuring the song Zero to Hero and a Game Over clip featuring the Hydra, both of which are in a totally different aspect ratio.
Yes, indeed!
I have no idea why, and it does also raise the question, why aren't the other clips in the same format?
Favorite part of the game.
In fact, the latter looks as though it was recorded from a screen, as the picture keeps bouncing around. As usual, there are some missing sound effects and vocals in the clips, indicating they were incomplete. But strangely, there are a couple that feature sound effects that were not in the movie.
Oh, no, you don't. We're not supposed to reveal the future. Oh, no, you don't. We're not supposed to reveal the future.
The most notable of these is after the Cyclops attacks. No! Hercules lifts a column, crushing Meg, and afterwards you can hear the sound effect of him putting the column down.
Hades' deal is broken.
This sound is not in the movie, despite the fact that Meg still flinches.
Hades' deal is broken.
And in my opinion, it would have made sense to include it.
Bless my soul, Herc was on a roll.
The widescreen clips also seem to have better sound quality. The Zero to Hero sequence is also slightly different to the version in the movie. First of all, there's this blink and you'll miss it shot of one of the muses, which is completely omitted from the film. And the scene of the Marilyn Monroe constellation is replaced by what appears to be Sebastian the Crab. That shot of one of the muses also appears in a lot of early trailers for the movie.
Hercules.
Yes, indeed!
Coming soon on video.
Finally, one other thing I noticed is that the clips in the finale featuring Hera's dialogue seem to have been totally removed with some unashamedly choppy editing. There's one scene when she just suddenly appears out of nowhere, hugging Hercules. Who are you? Go away! It's obvious that the voice actress wasn't involved in the game, and so they didn't want to include her in the clip, but they could surely have edited her out of the clip entirely. As it is, it just looks odd. And let's not forget this jump scare.
Oh my gods! That never fails to frighten the life out of me.
Sometimes they even change the use of music. This is often due to copyright reasons, and sometimes it's simply because the movie wasn't yet completed, and they had to resort to using some kind of stock music alternative. Sometimes I don't even bother replacing it, and have the characters dancing to a rhythm that we can't hear, such as this scene in the Dorado game.
Again, I know it's not Disney, I'm just using it as an example. Okay?
Sweet unfolding of an antique mystery.
Really, this is so frigging bizarre. Take this scene from Chicken Little as another example. For this scene, the game merely cuts the music entirely. Without the music, it just looks weird. There's also another scene in which Runt is fleeing the aliens and yells the lyrics to the Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
Stay alive! Stay alive! Stay alive!
The game replaces this dialogue with something totally different.
Brain-craving aliens! They're gonna take over our brains!
In the Toy Story 2 game, the scene in which the toys drive the Pizza Planet car contains no music. While the movie features some background rock music, the game basically conveys a scene in silence.
Sleek, take the pedals. Rex, you navigate. Ham and potato, operate the levers and knobs. Sleek, take the pedals. Rex, you navigate. Ham and potato, operate the levers and knobs.
It's really lacking something here. There's not the same feeling of adrenaline as a result.
Harvester, salute!
Sometimes the alteration of music is a complete mystery, however. The ending clip to A Bug's Life does not use Randy Newman's A Bug's Life suite, despite having used it in an earlier clip. Bizarrely, the music they utilize here appears to be the concluding music from the Tom Cruise movie Far and Away.
Coincidentally, this is far and away the weirdest soundtrack change I've ever come across in a video game.
Interestingly, this music was also used in a trailer for the Treasure Planet PS2 game. I have no idea why. Perhaps it's often used as stock music for trailers or something, like how the music from DreamWorks' Ants was used to advertise The Emperor's New Groove for some reason.
The Emperor's New Groove.
While we're on the subject of A Bug's Life, I already noted in my last video that Francis's lines are redubbed.
Let's face it, we stink.
But another thing I find interesting is that the scene of the circus bugs at the Bug Bar is very obviously unfinished. There's clearly a lack of detailing, and the dewdrops are solid. This is the only time I've ever known a game use an unfinished clip of the movie.
How the hell did this creepy crawly crawl past quality control?
Another common feature of movie clips is that sometimes the sound effects haven't yet been finalized. Hopper provides an apt example in A Bug's Life as he's missing the creaking sounds of his body as he moves. Missing sound effects are also very noticeable in Disney's Chicken Little. Just look at this scene from the movie. And now watch the game movie clip. It feels very muted, and yet there are other scenes when certain grunts and incidental vocals seem a lot more pronounced.
It seemed that happily ever after. It seemed that happily ever after.
But the most interesting scene change to me is this one. Now, the game clip is not only missing sound effects, but it also adds something.
I didn't think this through!
Interestingly, Buck Cluck's mouth movements match this dialogue, so it looks as though this was originally intended to be in the movie. I really don't know why it was removed at all. It's not all that funny to me, but it isn't offensively bad to me or anything. There are worse gags in the movie itself.
Quite.
Maybe they just decided that it made Buck Cluck seem less cowardly by removing the line.
Even though he is literally a big chicken.
Meanwhile, the dodgeball scenes in the movie contain dialogue that does not feature in the game clips. In this scene, the coach tells the students they'll be split into two teams, popular versus unpopular. When Runt raises his hand in the movie, the coach answers him.
Coach!
Yeah, unpopular.
Shouldn't we review safety guidelines?
Meanwhile, in the game, this line is missing.
Coach! Shouldn't we review safety guidelines?
There's also this scene in which Foxy and Goosey taunt Chicken Little. Foxy is very obviously heard laughing here. But in the game, for some reason, she's completely silent. I actually find this rather odd.
Pump it up, pump it, pump it, pump it.
Amy Sedaris' vocals are heard in the movie clips, so I don't understand why they wouldn't have recorded her laughing.
Yeesh, that silent demented grin is gonna haunt my nightmares.
So yeah, I haven't seen anybody else talk about this stuff before, but I genuinely find it interesting. Of course, there are likely plenty of other examples, but I just wanted to shed some light on some I know about. I know this is a little different to the usual, but I figured it might be an interesting topic to cover. If there's anything else you think I should look into, let me know in the comments. I'm currently working on a bunch of other reviews, so it shouldn't be long before you see me again. Until then, bye-bye for now.
Now let's move out!
And that's a wrap.